So let's talk about additional stimulus here in 2023. Are we going to see more stimulus? Are we going to get another $1,200 check, a $600 check, or possibly a $1,400 stimulus check? Well, I will just answer that question really quick. The answer is no. But does that mean that lawmakers are going to stop proposing additional stimulus checks? No. Lawmakers are going to continue to push for more stimulus. Why? Well, at this point, we're starting to see a need for additional stimulus in certain pockets of our economy. However, that does not mean lawmakers are going to come out and pass just a complete blanket stimulus. No. Here's what is going to happen. According to lawmakers, they say that we do need additional support, but not now. Big word, okay? Big key words here. Not now. They're saying we will need support because what is happening right now is the Federal Reserve is continuing to raise rates. As the Federal Reserve continues to raise rates, banks are going to be hurting. As banks hurt and lending pretty much evaporates, what is going to happen is that businesses are going to start letting their employees go. As they do, and as consumers stop spending, the economy is going to tighten. Lending is going to tighten. This credit crunch is going to hurt. This cash crunch, it's already hurting. Many people don't have any money. They don't have any option to go and buy food, put fuel in their vehicles, pay their rent, pay the utilities, right? And stay on top of their phone bills. They just don't have the ability to do it. So, this is why multiple lawmakers are actually putting out different proposals to see additional stimulus. It's because they believe that additional stimulus will be needed. And if they are the lawmaker that is the first one that proposes it at this time, guess what that does? It actually benefits that party. It benefits them. And remember what's happening next year. We have a presidential election. Okay, we have a presidential election. Okay, we also know many lawmakers are going to be up for re-election. So at that point, what happens? Well, this is where lawmakers are thinking ahead. Not that they think anything like a $1,200 stimulus check per month for 5 years is going to help or going to work, but they are proposing it. So you may have heard the story, you may have heard the news that there is a lawmaker that's proposing a $1,200 stimulus check to every single person here in the United States, and it's going to go on for 5 years. It's going to be a monthly check. Have you heard that? Yeah. Just think how much that would cost. That would be a very expensive bill. That would send inflation wouldn't peak at 9.1%. It would be much higher than that. That's not the way to go. But, and again, I bring this up because states are also sending out additional stimulus. They're sending out tax credits. They're providing their residents with additional support. Some states are providing additional benefits for food assistance. That's what we're seeing. Schools are starting to get a little bit more funding. These are the types of stimulus that I told you we are going to see. Certain pockets of the United States, certain locations are going to get some additional help, but not every single city. Okay? Now, one thing I can tell you is that the biggest form of stimulus that is still being discussed and is a bipartisan bill, okay, bipartisan legislation, is the child tax credit payments. We know Republicans and Democrats are both in support of bringing back those $3,600 child tax credit payments. That would be $300 per month for children between the ages of 0 and 5. That would be another $250 per month for children between the ages of 6 and 17. Both Republicans and Democrats support this idea, but it's how do they come to a final agreement? Do we see Republicans back off of their demand of, okay, we need to have work requirements, okay, we need to have a lower cap, we need to pull some of the money from things like the earned income tax credit, right? These are all things Republicans are pretty much saying this is what we need to do. Senator Mitt Romney from Utah, he's the one that proposed a work requirement. Well, you know what's happening right now as far as things like SNAP benefits? They're trying to propose a work requirement for it. Yeah. And because of this work requirement, this is what we're now starting to see. You want benefits? Well, you have to work. You have to attempt to work. have to work so many hours. You have to be a certain age before the work requirements, okay, before you don't have to submit those. These are the things that we're seeing, and this is why I bring it up, is because right now it is a very difficult time. We are seeing food prices go up, right? Rent went up extremely high. It's now starting to come back down. Fuel, utilities, all these things. Services, yeah, they're getting more expensive. So we have to pay for those. Medication, getting more expensive. You have to pay for that. Yes, the government came out and tried to do some form of stimulus where you don't, if you have, you don't have to pay more than $35 per month, okay? For things like insulin, right? It's big. That's a big help, especially when people can pay hundreds of dollars every single month. But again, this is just some of the stimulus that they're talking about. One thing I can tell you though, and I told you this probably over a year ago, that what lawmakers were going to do if states, and again, states have until I believe January 1st, 2025 to spend all of their share of the $350 billion that they got a couple years ago. Well, here's the thing. If states don't spend that money goes back to the Treasury. Well, what Republicans are trying to do, and what some Democrats have proposed is possible, is to go pull that money back and take it and redistribute it to other places. For example, SNAP benefits, do the child tax credit payments, could go to Social Security or Medicare. We've heard just the other day that some lawmakers want to pull $15 billion from the IRS funding, which was already passed. The $80 billion, they want to pull $15 billion from that and put that to border security. So what we are seeing at this point is lawmakers are thinking of different ways, roundabout ways to come up with money. One of the easiest ways to come up with money is to take the money that's already been approved and distributed, pull it back, and then redistribute it elsewhere. That's what we're going to get. Okay? So, again, let me just answer that question. Are we going to see an additional stimulus check? Sorry. I'm very sorry to tell you, but the answer is no. But the good news is, without additional stimulus checks, it means inflation is likely to come down a little bit faster. So we're not going to see sky-high inflation. The problem here is that inflation is going to hurt the lower and middle class households the most and first. Then eventually it's going to make its way up to the guys at the top. Okay, those upper tier income. That's who's going to feel it last, or may never feel it. So just understand, right now it's a very interesting time, a very interesting situation. But I know a lot of people are still asking for stimulus. The only problem is there's a good chance it's never going to come, at least not in 2023. So if you have any questions, again, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.